Hello, my name's Karla. Welcome to my channel at Stitch Me Sane. This is a channel where I'm going to talk about my love of cross stitching. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, and this is my very first Flosstube episode. I'm really excited to be here. I'm fairly active on Instagram, and some of you might already be familiar with my WIPs that I'm going to show you today, my works in progress. It's Sunday the 20th of November here in Melbourne, Australia, and welcome to my channel. I have decided to start with a traditional WIP parade, and I have counted and gathered all of my current active WIPs that have been worked on in the last 6 months to show you. There are 23 of them. So grab some stitching, relax, kick back. I'm really excited to share with you my work today. So, without wasting any further time, I've got a nice pile here. I've got some notes, so please excuse me if I'm looking down. We all know how this works. My very first piece. I started in 2019 when I got back into stitching, and it is a piece of art by Picasso, Blue Nude. I am stitching it on 14 count AIDA 2/1, and I recently used it as my Stitch 30 Daily piece, which is a hashtag on Instagram that Angie Slowly Crafts is using. You can find her on Flosstube as well and on Instagram. You might hear me mention her quite regularly because I follow her quite intently. So Stitch 30 Daily was a really good method for me to get some progress on this piece that I would like to see finished. It is my eldest daughter's favorite WIP of mine, which is inspiring to see it finish. So it's a kit that I got in 2019 by The Art of Stitch, Blue Nude by Picasso, and I am stitching it 2/1 on 14 count AIDA. And here she is. I am about 57% through on this piece. It's very, very confetti heavy, albeit only about 35 colors. I still have a lot of ninja stitches, as you can see, that I need to complete. But I made some really solid progress in my Stitch 30 Daily. So I'm really pleased with where it's at. And I'm looking forward to seeing a finish on this one sooner rather than later. It only has a stitch count of 30,000. So it's doable. Blue Nude. And that's my first piece. Okay, 23, with some plans at the end. It's probably a good time to mention that my partner Dylan, my biggest supporter, does a lot of my stats work. So a lot of the numbers that I have for you today come from him. Thank you. Okay, WIP number 2 is a kit that I picked up, again, I think it was late 2019, with my sister. She stitches as well, although she's a monogamous stitcher, and I would love to actually maybe get her on this channel at some stage to share with her work that she's got going on her GeckoRouge kit that we both picked up together. Mine is called Chicago, and it's a piece of art by Heather Geller. Unfortunately, you can no longer get her charts on, they're not licensed to GeckoRouge anymore. But I'm doing the Chicago, and this is stitched on 18 count, 2/1. That is where I am at so far. I love the colors on this one. I love the buildings. As I said earlier, I live in Melbourne, and it's difficult to find a piece that really represents the Melbourne skyline. So Chicago is quite similar, I think, which is why I was drawn to it in the first place, together with the colors. I love it. I love working on this one. This one is my middle daughter's favorite WIP. that I have. So again, lots of inspiration to get this one finished. I'm at about 40%. It's a paper pattern. And do you know what I have done? I've just realized I've forgotten to show you what the finished pieces would be. So I'll just go back and do that. This one is Blue Nude. Glad I realized this before we go any further. Blue Nude. And then I showed you Chicago, which was a bit silly given that you didn't know what the finished piece was going to look like. So that is Chicago there. And that sky, the river, the buildings. I love the trees, the circles, the trees. So I'll just show you that one again. Given my amateur flaw in not showing you the finished piece first, I will not do that again moving forward. So that's Chicago. I would love to see some more progress on that. I'm probably going to say that about every piece because I love all my WIPs very much. Chicago is about 51,000 stitch count. As I said, it's a paper pattern, and I'm about 40% of the way through on that one. Now, WIP number 3 is where I actually discovered Pattern Keeper. We all know what Pattern Keeper is about. It is the best app ever. It has changed my stitchy world dramatically, and I can't speak highly enough of this app. So my very first pattern that I discovered with Pattern Keeper was, and I'm going to have to show you on my tablet. I do apologize for that. Some of you may be familiar, actually probably a lot of you are familiar with this piece. It is well known. It is Long Dog Samplers, Long Dog Samplers. There we go. Pandemic. It was released as a free chart back in 2020. And my mum and I started stitching this one together. She's already finished, can you believe it? I'm only 57% through on mine. We made a decision when we started this piece to only use threads from our stash. So it was during the pandemic. As we all know, there was difficulty in getting a lot of materials, and so as you will see, mine is rather higgledy-piggledy. I picked about, I think there's about 30 colors in mine that I just picked from my stash randomly of both DMC and anchor threads. I'm stitching it on an 18 count 2/1, so it's big, it's very big, and I am 57% out of 77,000 stitches. I'm going to have to really stand up for this one and maybe even step back a little bit. So this is my pandemic. I love it. I love working on this piece. I don't work on it enough. I'll bring it in and show you some of the motifs up close because they are just so quirky. And there's so much to look at. As I said, my mum's already finished this one. I can't believe it. There are so many amazing finishes already of this piece. You've probably seen them. So many different creative combinations of color and monochrome, both, that I have seen. So that's my pandemic. My favorite part to stitch was these ribbons here. I had a lot of fun stitching those ribbons. So that's my pandemic. Excuse that creaky noise, it's my chair every time I get up to show you a piece a little closer. I will get the hang of this hopefully over time. Pandemic I would love to see finished. I would love to show you actually my mum's piece as well because her colorway is incredibly different to mine and it's beautiful. She did it on an 18 count Rustico Ada, so very different. Again, she's a monogamous stitcher, so she certainly made progress a lot quicker than I did. Okay, piece number 4 is Glitch by an Etsy store, the Vibstas. You might have seen some of her work on Instagram, very bright, colorful pieces. This is one of my only, not only, I think I have 7 or 8 that are WIPs that aren't full coverage. It's on 18 count Ada. It's navy Ada, which I'm finding a little challenging and need good light to work on it, I must admit. I'll show you the finished piece first. Sorry, as I said, I'm using my tablet. So we have, that is the finished piece, and it is psychedelic. It has DMC light effects, 2 different colors, which just between you and I'm finding a little intimidating, but really enjoying. The stitch count on this is 21,000, almost 22,000, and I am at 24.21%. Now that we have Pattern Keeper, the stats are a lot easier. Here is my progress, and I'm showing it to you upside down. Forgive me. And as you can see, I have started the light effects in there. I'm finding if I put them in first and then sort of stitch in around them with my other threads, it's a little bit easier. I love the colors in this one. As I said, it's not full coverage. 18 count navy Ada. Glitch by the Vibstas on Etsy. I love it. Just going to pause. Okay, so the next WIP, which is number 5, is when I discovered Carolyn Manning. Her designs are incredible. They're so colorful. They're simple stitches, and there's lots of different options in terms of size to choose from. There's full coverage, non-full coverage. So this is my first Carolyn Manning. I actually have 3 of them on the go at the moment. This is my youngest daughter's favorite WIP, and again, inspiration to get it finished. This is stitched on 18 count Ada 2/1. It's called Dragonfly from the Shooting Stars collection. And it is psychedelic again in color. Something that I wouldn't combine together at all. Oop, we've just lost color. And I started this in 2020. I'm stitching it, as I said, 14 count Ada 2/1, and I'm currently at 43%. And there it is. I love this one. It's so fun. So fun to stitch on. I'll bring it in a little bit closer for you to see. I've decided to go the diamond only method. So I stitched in the bottom corner there and filled it all in, and then I thought, I'm going to go the diamond first method. I saw a few people on Instagram stitch this like that, and it looked fun. So we'll see how I go, see if I continue down that path. Excuse the light, I keep having the sun come in and out. It's a pity that it's not out at the moment for this piece because the light's not doing it justice. But I am 24%, and no, sorry, 43%, and it is 35,000 stitch count, full coverage, but a really fun, easy stitch, and I would really like to finish that one. Hopefully next year. I've got all these plans. I know we have all these plans. Okay, this one I'm really, really looking forward to showing you. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to say this, I have a vision of, I know a lot of people have like a wall vision, and I have a vision of Wall of Women. This is what started that vision. This one is a pattern of Etsy. I don't believe they're there any longer. It is, I think it was called Needle, Draw by Needle, Needle Drawing, something similar to that. I'll show you what the finished piece should look like. It's 90,000, called Spring Girl. I have affectionately named her Hummingbird. I'll show you the PDF, but it doesn't have the flowers. Look at her eyes. Oh goodness, I love her. She's 90,000 stitch count. And this one has, I think, 12 blended threads, which I love stitching with because the effect is incredible. But you can't do the loop start method, which bothers me a little bit. However, I love her, and I am currently at 23.72% out of 90,000. I'm doing her on 18 count Ada Rustico 2/1. I have a couple of anchor subs. This is her. Oh my goodness. Look at that eye. I love her. I have the first Hummingbird. The second one on her forehead is not far from being complete. A fair bit more wing there though. I've been working really heavily on her skin, which is difficult to see, but I'm hoping as I stitch in around, it'll really start to show how much work has been put into that face already. I love working on this one. So yeah, 18 count 2/1. I'm actually using this one of a few actually. There is a sale going at the moment. I Just Want to Fly sale. Kaylee 10 Stitches and ANG Slowly Crafts. There's a lot of other people on there. If you're stitching on anything with a bird, I've discovered I have, I think 4. I'll show you them as we go. Use the hashtag I Just Want to Fly sale. Really fun. I love a sale. I am notoriously slow at keeping up if there's deadlines. It seems that as soon as I put a deadline or a goal onto my stitching, I tend to procrastinate. I'm very much I like to stitch whatever I please at the time. But I'm finding the more and more WIPs that I get, the more goals I tend to have developing in my mind. So we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go there. The next 2 pieces, I just want to say quickly that I purchased these kits before I was really aware of copyright. I'm going to continue stitching on them, so I'll show them to you very quickly. The first one is called Colourful Deer. It was a kit that I bought many years ago and started, I think, in 2019. The finished piece is going to look like this. And I am currently here. This is a 14 count 2/1. I'm not entirely happy with the kit because the background color is not the color that was depicted on the picture, but I'm going to continue stitching on it. I think I'm about 15% of the way through. I do love the pastel colors in it, and I do love the piece. So that's Colourful Deer. That's number 7. Number 7 and number 8 is a piece that everybody is really familiar with, Starry Night. This is a kit that I'm fairly sure is not licensed, so I'll show you very quickly. I do intend on finishing it. I'm stitching 18 count, it's on an 18 count Ada 2/1. Here is my progress. I'll show you quickly the picture, but I'm fairly certain most people are familiar with the work. And that's where I'm at. Threads everywhere, parked threads. This has a stitch count of 32,000. I'm at about 13% so far. There's a sale, another sale, Vangovember sale, and this piece I think really just comes out in November when that sale's on, so it might get a little bit of work because we still have 10, 11, a little bit of time left in this month. On the park threads, I'll just note, moving forward, you might see a lot of park threads on my WIPs. I tend to be a bit of a crazy stitcher with no solid method, if you like. I know there's a lot of methods, Royal Rose, you know, I don't tend to do any of that. Excuse my park threads. Just letting you know. This next one is a big one. Let me turn my page. We are on number 10, and this one is from a Etsy store as well, Electric City Stitches, Julia's artwork and chart, and I am stitching this on 20 count Ada 2/1. This is a really large piece. It's an abstract piece of art, and it has 52,939 DMC 939, the navy blue. It is, I love it. So here is the finished piece. The color is just glorious. It actually has 143 colors, so it's got a lot. And I'm trying to work at the moment primarily on the 939. I started by actually gridding my own fabric because there was a big slab of it down the bottom of the 939, and I gridded it essentially in 10 by 10 squares with 939 so that I could, I'm just folding it, so that I could go and work on the other colors whilst I was working on the 939. Here is Sanctus, 18 count, 2/1. The stitch count is, where are we? Hang on a moment, I'll just have a quick look. Stitch count 213,000, and I am currently 5.28%. Look at those colors in those swirls. I find this one really fun to work on, and it's big. This is a big blanket, being on Ada, albeit 20 count. It's still big. I don't have any goals or urgent rush to finish that one, so we'll just sit in my WIP pile and get work on it every now and then. Okay, the next one is another Carolyn Manning. I do love Carolyn Manning. This I started as a sell for Barbara at Stitch Brat on Instagram's birthday last year. It was choose a dessert from the Shooting Star collection, and I selected carrot cake. I'll show you the finished piece. I'll just pull it up. They're not colors that I would usually choose, which I think is why I selected this piece, to get me out of my comfort zone a little bit. That's carrot cake. Very autumn or fall, as I've noticed everybody else says. We don't do fall here in Australia. We just have the 4 seasons. So I am currently at 28.58%. It's from the Shooting Star collection. It's 35,000 stitch count. I've got to get it the right way for you. I'm stitching it on 18 count, 2/1, Rustico Ada. And I went for a center start on this one. Look at that, it reminds me of a fire. I really need to get moving on this piece. Some of the other people that are in the sale, I think there's one already that's finished the birthday cake. And that's really a lovely finish. So that's where I'm at on carrot cake. Look at those colours if I come in close. Excuse my stitches. Have fun. That's number 11. Okay, we're nearly halfway there. Number 12. Oh, this is the one that I'm using the one that I'm meant to be using this month for my Stitch 30 daily piece. And truthfully, I haven't touched it very many days. Probably less than I would like to admit. However, it's a paper pattern. It's an Etsy store. Crosstitch Renner is the designer or the charter. And this is the finished piece, which will go on my wall of women. This is 11 colours. Can you believe it? 11 colours. The stitch count is 32,000, I believe. And I am currently at about 11%. Let me get this the right way. The sepia tones coming through on this piece, I am loving. You can't really tell the actual outline. If I hadn't have shown you the piece beforehand, I don't think you would have any idea what it's going to look like, but would you look at that shading? This is 2/1 on 18 count Rustico. I had quite a bit of that fabric, so I have a few of my smaller full coverage pieces on the same fabric. I'm working on that background there, which is what I have been working on for the Stitch 30 Daily, and it is a little relentless, the brown, but it is going to be gorgeous when I finish. When I finish, it'll get finished. Oh, this next one is actually another one that I can use for the I Just Want to Fly sale because it has birds. It is a smaller dimensions kit. I don't believe it's a gold kit, just a dimensions kit. I'm 55% of the way through, and I really would like to finish this piece. Actually, it's so close. I've nearly finished all of the, oh, sorry, I can't find the, okay, so here's what the finished piece is going to look like. It's very pretty. Birds, butterflies, flowers. There's blended threads in this one as well. French knots, lots of back stitching, typical of dimension kits. I have a 14 count ivory Ada, 2/1 I'm stitching as recommended. I have finished a lot of the stitching, the crosses, the actual cross stitching already. Oh, look at her. Her eyes are looking a little strange at the moment, but I do have a bird taking shape. I have started the back stitching in her hair, if you're able to see that. And the blended threads in her singlet and skirt have a really lovely effect. So that's where she's at. And I would like to finish her sooner rather than later and get a tick off of my WIP pile. Okay, next is Mandala Tiles 4 by another Etsy store on Instagram at Counting the Stars, Bex. She does amazing mandalas, really colorful, intricate pieces. This is a full coverage one, and it's actually 100 individual tiles. So there's like lots of mini little finishes. I need to show you the finished piece first. Sorry, bear with me. I nearly forgot again. I think that might be my thing where I just forget. Okay. Here is the finished piece. Look at the colors in that. I think it's 35 colours in total. It doesn't look it because of the detail. It's 40,000 stitches, full coverage. Unfortunately, I'm only 12.88% of the way through on this one. But look, I have finished, I think it is 6 full tiles. I think hang on. Yes, that's the right way. Or is it the right way for you? No, this is the right way. So I finished those first 6 in the bottom corner there. I love working on this piece. It's 18 count Aida, 2/1. Or is it a 20 count? This might be a 20 count. So I am at this point discovering that I really love full coverage. I think we're currently mid-2021 now with my starts. I had a lot of starts in 2021 and I had a lot of starts this year. I actually, at the start of the year, I said I wasn't going to, but that's not the way it panned out. This next one is definitely on 20 count Aida. I know that. And I am stitching it on 4 separate pieces. It's my 3rd Carolyn Manning designs, and it's called Unicorn. It's actually from the Tent Maker Small Collection. And here is the finished piece. Oops. I really like these colors. They're so subtle. So I'm stitching it on 4 separate pieces so that me and my 3 daughters can have a piece of unicorn each. And I have made some good progress. It's a stitch count of, let me just pause that for a minute. Okay, so it's a stitch count of 27,000 and I am currently at 26.99%. Okay, that's an interesting number. Here is the first one that I have started. I've already started all 4 of them. So that's number 1. I'm not too sure who's going to get which one just yet. This is the one that I have the furthest progress on so far. This is actually my travel piece at the moment because of its simplicity. And I use it to travel on the train, to work. I use it when I'm watching the kids playing, you know, training at basketball or swimming, in the car. This one has actually been to South Africa with me earlier in the year when my partner and I went in April. And the final one, which is the one that I actually did take with me to, no. This one, I took that one with me to South Africa, and that's the progress that I made while I was there. So close to 27% on that one. I love it. I'm going to keep using it as my travel piece. It's a great way to get progress without really, you know, dedicating time in your day for it. If you know that you're going to have that opportunity, just have it nearby, a little bag, take it with you. It's amazing how quickly that progress adds up with just 75 stitches here, 100 stitches there. Okay, so this is a bit exciting. I've just realized where I'm at. This is my very first piece that I have now jumped to 25 count, even weave, Lugana, and I started with 1/1. This was a really big change for me in my stitchy ways because I'd never really gone the higher counts before. They did intimidate me a little bit, but I knew that I wanted to give it a shot, and I have not looked back. I don't think I've made any new starts since this one on anything smaller than 25 count. So this is also where I discovered the really big charting places. I've known about HAED for a long time, but hadn't started one yet. But this one is actually by a company, Unconventional Crosstitch, which is an Australian company, so shout out to the Aussie. And it's called Memento Mori, artwork by Adrian Border. So there's a cell on Instagram, not Border This Cell. Kaylee 10 Stitches in that one as well. She's also got a Flosstube, and her Instagram page is in very active. She charts, very talented. Oh, she dyes fabric. I would recommend having a look at her as well. So yes, I've got a couple on that cell too, actually, the Not Border This Cell. That's the hashtag if you're stitching on an Adrian Border piece. So this one is Memento Mori. It is what I call my orange stunner. I think I have received a little bit of trouble on Instagram for this one, if anyone recognizes it. And I have had to place a sticker over a particular place of the mermaid's body to avoid difficulty with my posts on this piece, but that's okay. So I am currently at, let's have a look, 9.83%, and the stitch count is 108,000. And this is where I'm at. I was a little unsure to begin with because of the orange, but the blend in that now, the contrast is looking really good. I'm happy with that. 25 count, 1/1. Unconventional Cross Stitch, Memento Mori, artwork by Adrian Border. Love it. I get really, really quick progress on this one because it's a lot of block stitches, a lot of block stitching, but I don't work on it enough. Okay, next we have, my very first HAED, which is Heaven and Earth Designs. And I'm sure most of you are very familiar with these pieces. They're incredible. I started this piece in, this was actually my first attempt on 25 count, but I started at 2/1 and I found it to be too bulky. So I restarted it earlier this year, 1/1, after starting Memento Mori and realizing the deliciousness of the way that the threads flowed through the fabric for me. Just worked way better than the 2/1. So I got, I think, maybe 5,000 stitches in my Farewell to Ango by Leonard Afremov. And I said, no, I can't continue. I'm not going to spend 10 years stitching on something that I wasn't enjoying. So I restarted it as a 1/1 on 25 count, and I'm enjoying it much better. I'm also participating in another sale, Colors of Afremov, Angie Slowly Crafts, My Daily HAEDs, My Adventures of Stitching, I think. I think there's a few others in there as well. Anyone stitching on a Leonard Afremov piece doesn't have to be charted by HAED. There are other, I think there's other people out there that chart them as well. They're really familiar pieces, and the color on this hashtag is really starting to pop. So jump on board if you're stitching one of these pieces. So this is a really big one for me, and I've been working on it since the start of this year with the restart. 4.39% of the way through I am now, and this is where I'm at. Excuse the park threads. I did warn you that I am notorious. However, I haven't actually shown you what the finished piece is going to look like first. So here we have Farewell to Anger. Oh, so much color. Oh, I also forgot to mention that this is Max Color, guy. This is Max Color, and it's got 237 colors in it, and it is very challenging. I'm not going to lie. It's slow going, but it is worth every stitch. Would you look at those paint strokes coming in? I recently started, if you can't see because of the light, just here, I've actually started the first lamp post here, but it's a little bit difficult to see until I stitch it in around it with the oranges and the yellows. I'm looking forward to really getting out of this blue section, I must say, because I feel like I've been stitching blue forever. But that's my farewell to anger. I'm going to head down the chart and try and finish off the entire lamppost to sort of, well, that's my plan at the moment anyway. So, farewell to anger, Colors of Aframov, HAED, Max Color. It's the only one I'm doing on Max Color. We'll see how we go moving forward. I do enjoy it. I love the effect that Max Color has. It's just stunning. Okay, so we are up to number 18, I think. And this is one of my most recent posts on Instagram. It is another HAED. And I'll show you the finished artwork. Where are we? Goodness, my tablet's got so many now. This is Yes by Marta Darlig. It's a HAED chart. I love it. And I recently just hit 10%, which I was very happy about. This has 11,000 stitches of Krynic in it, I might add, Pearl 32. I haven't worked with Krynic before, so I have really been stitching around it in my usual madness that I, you know, just stitch wherever I please. So I've hit 10%. I'm stitching it on 25 count 1/1. Got to be careful that I've got used to saying 2/1, 1/1. And it is 193,000 and I'm at 19,000. And this is where I am at now. You can see her face coming in now. The scarf, the boots. I got a little tired of stitching the background, so have moved down. And I have put in 33 stitches of the Krynic. It's under the needle minder. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's there. It really is. I can't avoid it forever. And I'm really happy with how it looks. It just feels so scratchy to stitch with. Her face is looking good. I need to fill in some more of those ninja stitches, but I'm really happy with that. I'm at 10%. Look at that coming back now. Those boots look great. Okay, so that's my second HAED. I think I have 5 HAEDs. Okay, so next we have another unconventional cross stitch piece. I love this piece. I actually started this as after we returned from South Africa, because I just wanted a piece to remind me of that trip that I really, you know, it was quite memorable for me. So this is called Enter the Void, another Adrian border piece. So this is my other one that I'm stitching on for the Not Border This Cell on Instagram. And it is 25 count 1/1. And would you look at her? Oh, look at that hat. A lot of work in that hat. A lot of work in that hat. But I am at 7.93%. And you can see her face really coming in there now. I'll hop up and bring it in for you. I've been trying to work on the hat quite a bit. I have reached this top border here, which I was very happy with. You can see the color in that now. And then look at her face taking shape. Woo! All my park threads I love this piece. I would love to reach 10% by the end of this year on this piece. That was my aim with Yes. And this one I would like to get over the line as well. We'll see how we go. Stay posted. I think I need maybe 4,000 stitches, I think, which is doable. Except for, just wait to see what I have coming up next, except for, okay, so for my recent birthday, for those of you watching, I turned 40 a couple of months ago, and I thought that was a really big birthday. I needed to celebrate, and so I made a start that I would like to finish by the time I'm 50. That's the goal. So this is Paradise Found, charted by HAED, artwork by Janelle Nickel. I'm stitching at 25 count 1/1, and I started it on the 12th of August this year. It's a big piece. It's 262,000 stitch count. It's not max color though, so it's a little bit more doable. It's about 90 colors. And I fold the fabric up because it's very big, but I am at 2.13%. And you can see that flower coming in there. This piece is really interesting to stitch because there's so many different bits and pieces in the pattern that I'll get to see as I just keep stitching. They kind of emerge. So that's where I'm at, 2%. Not a huge start. I'm really enjoying working on it, and I do when I feel like it. This is not one that my go-to that I stitch on all the time, but I really enjoy working on it, so I'd love to see some more progress. Looking at the percentage, maybe 3% by the end of the year. That would be nice, another rounded number. Okay, we're nearly there. We're nearly there, stay with me. Okay, so then I discovered a bit of a smaller work now. Again, this is not a full coverage piece, and I am just blown away by these for some reason. I'm really attracted to the entire collection. They're by Donor Stitch. It's a fairy tale collection that I found on Etsy. I've seen a few finish these pieces now, and I decided I wanted to start one. I've never worked on linen, and I thought, why not start now? It's not a big full coverage, and I have a really big stack of linen white fabric, which is a 28 count, that I wasn't too sure what to use it for. So I got a number of these charts, and I thought over time it would be nice to use that fabric because it's white and I'm loving the higher counts. So I started on the Little Mermaid. I love the colors, they're so bright. Some of you may be familiar with these pieces already. As I said, there's a lot stitching on Instagram. This is the Little Mermaid one. Sorry that keeps happening. Look at the color on that. Woo! Love it. So here's my start. As I said, it's not full coverage. Close to though, 34,000. And I have made a start at 6%. Look at these teeny tiny stitches. I have a Little Mermaid needle minder. There's my start. Eric is there. My youngest daughter, she's 6, nearly 7, and really is quite encouraging on progress on this one. And this was my first attempt at both linen and 28 count, and I think I've fallen in love with the 28 count in particular. Oh, I really enjoy it. So that was my first start. I went with the Little Mermaid Donor Stitch, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm at 6%, and it's easy stitching. It's mainly all block stitching. I'm just going to pause for a second, guys. Okay, so because I really love the 28 count so much, I decided to start a big full coverage piece on 28 count. It's cream Lugana, and I threw it out to my mum to select a chart from Heaven and Earth Designs for me to stitch for her. I've given myself a goal of 6 years, which will take me to her next milestone birthday. And look, I love the piece that she selected, so I'm pretty grateful for her choice. I recently started it. You have probably seen my start on Instagram if you follow me there at Stitch Me Sane, and it is called Arrival to Spring. Artwork by Natasha Chora and as charted by HAED. Here's the final artwork. I love this piece. I am loving the colors. I am loving working on it. Oh goodness. Isn't she pretty? Oh, so pretty. And I get to use her for the I Just Want to Fly sale because there are 4 more birds. 4 more birds. Okay, so this is now currently my biggest WIP that I have. I need to be stitching on her at a rate of about 150 stitches a day to reach my goal. And it's 286,000 and I am at 1.52%. And I have just taken this one off the hoop because I was stitching on her the last time I was stitching on something. And here she is. I started with her chin, so I went for a center start. Her lips are just coming in now. Would you look at those colors? They're so pretty. 28 count, 1/1, full cross. All of my full coverage of full cross. I love this piece and I can use it for the I Just Want to Fly sale. So I'm currently stitching her at, I think I'm at about 120 stitches a day. I need to really increase that and challenge myself to see if I can actually achieve that goal. If I don't, that's fine as well. But that's one of my most recent starts and we have 2 left to go, 2. So straight after that, I decided, well, why not ask my dearest friend to also select a piece from HAED for me to stitch for her. And I went with another 28 count 1/1 cream. The beauty of her selection, however, was that it's not actually full coverage, which I was quite grateful for because when I show you what the finished piece looks like, you'll understand why. The artwork is by Anna Dittman, and there are so many amazing pieces in progress on Instagram with this artwork. So I was so pleased when she selected Ariel. Look at that. So bearing in mind that the bottom is not actually stitched. So I went with a nice cream fabric and I'm really happy with this so far. I do need to step it up a little bit to meet my goal on this. I've got just under 5 years, I think it is, and it is 169,000 stitches and I'm currently at 1.22%. So we have a 28 count 1/1 cream Lugana. Excuse my parked threads again. So I've started a center start again and I'm going to come out to her eye that is not covered with the butterfly. I love stitching eyes. There's just, I really enjoy stitching eyes and faces, as you've probably noticed by my collection of WIPs if you've stuck around this long. So there we go. Oh, Ariel, Anna Dittman, HAED, 28 count 1/1. And I really need to step up the progress on this one because I would love to have it finished by her next milestone birthday. And finally, lucky last, this was actually a start that I started 2 days ago on the 18th of November as a stitch along, well, yeah, stitch along, a start along, a whatever along with Barbara from at Stitch Bright. And we started a hashtag called Everything Alice Sal. So I already highlighted that and showed you my little mermaid from Donor Stitch. I was talking to Barbara and she really expressed an interest in stitching one and wanted to stitch the Alice in Wonderland one. And I said, well, what a great time to start. So we have created that hashtag, and it's not just for the donor stitch Alice in Wonderland piece. If you are stitching on an Alice piece, if you're thinking about starting one, if you've got one close to a finish, if it's big, if it's small, please jump on the hashtag, because it is one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite books, and the pieces out there that I have seen are just incredible, but I don't have time to stitch them all. So everyone's welcome. Everything Alice Sell. That's the hashtag. So the piece that we selected is the donor stitch one, which looks like this. The colors are incredible. I've gone for a center start, again on my 28 count linen to match all of my donor stitch collection. I've made a small start. I think it's 200 odd stitches, and I am here. So I've started with Alice's face. That's 3808 DMC. Most of the outline on these fairy tale collection pieces are, actually no, they all are done in 3808. Whilst they have different colors in each of the pieces, they're also very interconnected so that they form a collection if you want to stitch them all, which is what I'm hoping to do. So that is all of my current active WIPs, all 23 of them, including my most recent start 2 days ago. Thank you to those who have jumped on the hashtag already. Kaylee 10 Stitches, the Sari Stitcher, Sharon, thank you so much. It's going to be so much fun, and I'm looking forward to making some more progress on that. Now, I also have some plans, but I just want to round this off. They're my WIPs. I don't stitch on all of them regularly. I try to, because I have a little bit of, I feel a bit of emotion and neglect for the ones if I don't stitch on them often. But ultimately I am forming some goals, and if you come back, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to film again, I've really enjoyed this today, you'll get to see the progress that I am making on the ones that I do choose to stitch on more frequently at the moment. So next I'd just like to raise some plans that I have, because wow, I've got so many plans, but I'd just like to highlight one before we finish up today. This is becoming a rather long video. I hope you've had lots of stitchy time. Recently, a fabulous new chartist came onto the scene, Contemporary Cross, and I have been lucky enough to be gifted one of their charts, Midnight Poppy Field, which I am going to start with Kaylee 10 Stitch, because she tried to really kindly rack me this chart, and then Paula from Contemporary Cross was already stitching it and wanted the three of us to stitch it together. So shout out to both of those two amazing stitchers and charters in their own right. And this is Midnight Poppy Field. Whoa, look at her. Which I'm going to be starting in December with Kaylee 10 Stitch and Paula from Contemporary Cross, also not Nixie, is already stitching it if you want some inspiration. So I'm looking forward to starting that. I'll be doing that on 25 count, I believe. I've actually got my fabric here, because I also have a couple of things to show you. So I will be doing it on, what did I end up going with here? No, I'm going to be doing it on 28 count, guys. 28 count Midnight Poppy. I've also got some really amazing plans for this piece that I got recently in the post, which is a 28 count grey gum opalescent Lugana. It's still in the plastic. I'll try not to rattle it, but would you look at that? Oh, I'm super excited about that. And would you believe, yesterday the postie, just in time for me to film this video, bought me a kit that I have had on order for not very long at all. I was lucky enough to receive a gift voucher from work recently for a recognition award to Amazon, and so I got myself the Cozy Cove Dimensions Gold kit, and I am I have no idea when I'm going to start this, but I love it. It's so not what I would usually stitch, which is why I selected it. I think it's an 18 count. Yes, 18 count ivory Ada. Full coverage, typical dimensions kit, lots of half crosses, specialty stitches. It'll be fun. If anyone else is stitching this, let me know, because I'd like to see someone who's already started it. So they're the things that I have picked up recently. Few plans in place. I'd like to make some solid progress on the WIPs that I already have, and I'm looking forward to 1 or 2 more new starts in the next month or two, which I will share with you here when I have them locked down in my mind. But I would like to say thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for joining me on my very first Flosstube episode at Stitch Me Sane. If you'd like to see more, come over to Instagram. I'm active there. I'm going to hopefully film fairly regularly with some progress updates, and I just want to express how grateful I am to be a part of this stitching community, because the inspiration, the support, the motivation, the enabling, it's a phenomenal community, and we should all be just so very proud to be a part of it. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, I'd love you to comment, subscribe, like, at Stitch Me Sane. I would love to hear what WIPs of mine that you really liked, what you'd like to see more progress on. I'd love to hear if you're stitching on anything that I'm stitching on to share with me. Let me know who you are. I want to get to know you on Flosstube. This community is fantastic, but I'm new to it. So yeah, let me know who you are. Let me know what your channel's all about. And I'd love to come over and check you all out. So thank you for your time today. I've had so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.